Hey yo, my Planet Coaster friends, Johnny 5 Alive here, and welcome back to another episode of Project PlanCo. Today we are going to France. That is right, our first ever French-style buildings to start developing our little mini French area within the theme park. Very exciting stuff because this is a build style we have not seen yet from these builders, and I think everybody's doing a fantastic job with the French aesthetic. We have three incredible builds to go over today. They are pretty large builds at that, and then once we get the final four in, that will completely finish off France. So I've decided to chop this into two episodes because these are the only ones currently available and ready for us, and that will be part one of France, and then I will wait until all four of the other French buildings are in. We'll get those in for part two, and France will be completed other than the centerpiece contest that will come later on. So looking to do a two-part series for France, and this is part one. So let's take a closer look at these builds here today. Gadoosh! Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is our French building 03, created by Chet.b, and they say here, this building is built for the Channel 5 Gaming PlanCo project. This building's exactly 1,000 pieces, no TMTK, and when all the placement tools are in, delete them. Yep, we got that, and they did provide some placement tools, which was somewhat helpful. Generally, what I'm doing with these builds is I will delete the block before placing the build, but this one had poles, and so I had to kind of undo that. And some of these builds I actually have to delete the foundation for, because if they're not using it, why have all those extra part counts? So I was able to delete the foundation on this one as well. So this one was actually one of the easier builds to get in. We got to remove the foundation, got to remove all the setup pieces, basically the most optimal build possible because it fit that volume cube perfectly while also not even using the foundation. Really great stuff from Chet.b here. While the backside is a little bit plain, we will have a building here, and we already have a building here, so you won't really notice it. So this is a tight alleyway. It's not really like a grand entrance or anything like that, but it is a way to get to the French area. And right here, this big purple pad that you see in the middle is going to be one of our contest submissions. So we'll see, you know, this big centerpiece, beautiful French building representing our Leven Sep bakery character that Chant has drawn for us. And yeah, it's a great way to enter into the area of this park. So nice little alleyway there, scoot off to the side and in. So this one is using the Monsieur Frites, which is great because we didn't really do anything for Monsieur Frites in this Project PlanCo. It is a generic French fry shop, but it is a French shop. So it's very suiting to have that here. What we have planned for the contest is we have redesigned our baker. So I'll bring an image of that up on screen here. You can see our little bakery guy. We still have to come up with a name for him. So if you have any ideas for our Leven Sep French baker, throw your ideas down below and we'll give our baker a name. But the Leven Sep is a World's Fair DLC character, or shop I should say. Well, it's not native to PlanCo and it was part of an update and the World's Fair. That is the whole point of these areas, is to create more life for the World's Fair themselves. So while the French fries don't really have a character or anything of that sort, they're just kind of like a traditional shop. Generally, they paired well with the, you know, it's like a tertiary thing. You have fries next to burgers and that sort of thing like that. And it wasn't until World's Fair came along where they really decided, hey, we need to do something special for France. And that's when they came up with Leven Sep, the bakery. It's great to have that here, but not bring too much attention to it. And the building itself is just incredible. I personally wouldn't know how to build with the French style. It's the reason I chose the PlanCo style and went with Club 5. It's a little bit more cartoony, a little bit more vibrant, and a little bit more silly. And that's the type of personality I have when I build. Some of these builders, like Chet.b himself, really know how to emphasize those details, really like to take the part count to the next level. And I'm assuming when they said it's 1,000 pieces, they were probably assigned 1,000 pieces. Literally not going over or under and using the exact amount is actually quite impressive. If having to delete one bush or one lamp would have just ruined this. I don't know how you managed to do this and make it seem like you had leftover pieces. It's like you had the exact amount. It's super impressive, but the details themselves, super intricate, really ornate. And that's what I would expect to think of, you know, some beautiful French architecture. So absolutely nailing that, considering you have the archway to work with. Basically what they had was a plot here, and a little arch, and that's all they had to go off of, and they came up with this. I couldn't have asked for better myself. Like, wow, absolutely nailing it, Chet.b, doing basically a 2-part blueprint, but or I guess a 3. If you think about this middle column here as one, a building attached to that with a little storefront, and then another one off to here, they all flow together very cohesively. It all comes together as one, but it also has some separation there, and I just, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. The inclusion of the Monsieur Frites is great, adds a little bit more shopping for this area of the park for the guests to spend some money at. I'm not sure if that was something we requested or not. I thought I remember seeing a Monsieur Frites or something included in here. That must be it right there. Yeah, this is a fantastic build by Chet.b. What did you guys think? Leave your comments down below. We'll check nighttime lighting on all these at once at the end, but yes, an easy setup and a beautiful build. Let's move over to the next one. Boom, there it is. French facade, Project PlanCo, created by Belisaria. It says here, FrenchTown Building B, facade only. Piece count 595. Not sure what your total piece count was, but I'm gonna assume it was probably like 600. A lot of you guys are like to build right to the last piece. Here they say this building features 5 French-themed facades, a reading lounge, cafe, 2 homes, a restaurant, pub, and a cafe. Some of the colors match the Vincep shop. Oh, very smart of you. Very, very, very smart. Some featuring the logo as well. Art inside the interior spaces seen through windows. Nighttime lighting throughout included. The sides and the back are blank, as they should be hidden from other buildings or terrain. Also very smart. So this one was one of the more tricky builds to place, or not build to place, to build for Belisaria. It was a challenging build to sign out, because the build, as you can see, was the block that we had. It was that thin. It was like 1 tile wide. So it was literally assigned to be a facade. And while it is bare on the backside, we will, with this terrain right now is not has its final polish. So we will likely come in here and raise the terrain, add some trees, and you won't even notice or see that. And especially from the ground level, you know, if we come into this area of the park and there is slightly a bit more trees and decor there, yeah, you definitely won't notice any of that. But from an immersion perspective, you don't know how deep or wide these actual buildings are. And that's why build what you don't see kind of thing, and just make it a facade, and it creates the illusion that they are full buildings. You know, they could be very deep, but it doesn't really matter, because yeah, all you see is the front. So it's a tricky build, and I think Belisaria, you know, was the one to do it. This is perfect. While you could see it's one build from the creator, it essentially looks like 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that is really cool. I love how they're all smashed together. I mean, in theory, what we could have done is assigned multiple plots, but Batch did a wonderful job at saying, no, this is going to be one giant facade, and Belisaria took it upon themselves to break it up into multiple plots. And I think that was the best decision you could have possibly made, because it creates so much diversity, variety, texture, and just a lot of interesting looks going on here. So a closer look, we have St. Germain's Reading Lounge, and a little bit of an interior that you can see through the windows. I did use the Sink Me, Hide Me signs, but looking at this closer, the terrain is popping up a little bit. If I bring this up just a little bit higher, does that screw anything up? The chairs are sinking in a little bit. Doesn't ruin anything on the front. Yeah, so I think we could just leave it like that. I think that should be fine. So this will happen from time to time, from video to video in this project, where I notice these little bugs and I try to fix them live while we're featuring them. Better to do it now and show you guys the process than forget about it. So here we go. We have another little restaurant. Ah, crap. Maybe it'd be easier if I just flatten the terrain. It's because the pathwork's already in. This isn't necessarily Belisaria's fault. What Batch should have done was made sure that the terrain for these builds was like perfectly flat before assigning the plots, but it's just a little bit of an oversight. And while that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, I could either leave it so the grass pokes through or bring the ground up. I think what I'll do is also select the chairs and candles. That way I can bring everything up together. And while it is slightly higher on the interior than the exterior, I think that's okay. It's better than looking through the windows and seeing dirt. So I think that's fine. For the most part, you're not really going to be looking that close. It's just nice to see a little bit of chairs and some noise from the distance. We don't need to be too picky about it, but I do think that was the right decision to make. So yeah, it's all looking really, really good. Love all the details on the front of the facade, adding a little bit of color there, going with the Leven Sep colors as well, as you mentioned, planters outside on the buildings out front, little storefronts down below, and I think, what do we have here? A tiny little Leven Sep bakery sign, and then this is also World's Fair as well. So keeping with that World's Fair theme, we got a cafe, a little bake shop, apartment buildings, and a reading lounge. Beautiful. Really, really good build here from Belisaria. Love everything about it, and definitely bringing some life to our little France. Boom. Last but not least, we are looking at Project PlanCo French Building 07, 903 pieces made for the French area in Channel 5 Project PlanCo Park, created by Mellow. Call me Mellow Yellow. This is a trickier one to place down because the shape is so weird. Now, what originally was designed here from Batch, and I guess this builder kind of missed out on that subtle indication, and I'm okay with it. It's not the end of the world. But what you can see here is you have City Building 05 and then French Building 01. And basically, so what you have here is a city building covering the French buildings. That actually existed here, but what Batch decided to do was to let the builder figure out how they were going to do that. So the original plan was that it had a divide of colors and styles. This was a 2-for-1, a French and city building 2-for-1. So this builder was actually supposed to build a city building here and then integrate that and smush it into a French building, creating separation between the two styles. That way we have city building, but then on this side, French building, French building. I mean, it was a bit of an oversight. At this point, I'm not going to tell the builder to restart or redo anything, because not only was that a challenging task, but the end result was also great. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. It does give you a little bit of an indication that, hey, there's some French style buildings over here as you're moving into the French area. So I think it's fine. Like I said, at the end of the day, we're not city planners. We're not city builders. For the most part, we're just trying to do the best job we can. Now, because this is also a funky shape, the builder had a lot of challenges. A lot of challenges and angles, tons of angles here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angled building on a interesting corner with jutting paths in all directions. Also a rounded path. So I tried to line it up to the foundation as best as possible. Some of the foundation is still showing in some areas, but generally I was able to come in here and delete a lot of the foundation that wasn't visible, just to increase our part count or decrease our part count just a little bit. But we have ever so slight amounts of foundation putting into the build here. It's not perfectly lined up. If I lined it up perfectly there, then it wasn't perfectly lined up here and here. You know, it is what it is. I figured this back alley was probably the best one to let be slightly off-centered. Now, these big windows, they're popping out onto the guest pathway, the street. If the guests are walking really close to the side, which generally they don't, they try to take the center as often as possible. There is a small chance some of the guests will kind of walk through the windows. So again, I wanted to slide it to the left as far as possible without having too much overhang on this side. So this is exactly the best that I thought would work for this building. So one of the more trickier ones to place in, one of the more trickier builds for the builder to create. And with what they were given, the part count assigned, and doing this with 900 pieces and given the French style build, I think it's a really nice build. Different from the other two that we're seeing there, but still very intricate, organic, unique architecture on this one. Great colors. So all of these buildings came out completely different, but still have that French integrity that we were looking for. Again, another amazing build, and super fun to see all three of these come together and how they start to shape out our little French district. So really remarkable stuff here, and it was super exciting to see what the first French builds would look like. They're kind of setting the tone for the area, and now we're waiting, as I mentioned at the top of the video, 1, 2, 3, 4. And once all of these come in, I'm gonna wait until they're all in. So I'm not even gonna start doing the episode until all 4 of these have been approved and in. And then we'll just put all 4 of those in and do a final reveal of our mini France. Now, obviously, it's not going to be fully complete until this contest centerpiece gets put in. So that'll be something fun that we do in the contest series for this project. But I think having the whole area in, when assigning the contest, people will be building their plot for the contest, and they'll be able to see the build styles, the pieces, and all of the intricacies that have gone into the French buildings surrounding their centerpiece, and it'll help guide them to make it match and flow with the surrounding areas. To iterate quickly on what that contest will be, it will be open to a bunch of people to take a stab at this style, and the best one gets put here. So obviously, the more information that you have, the better, and being able to see what pieces have been used already, what styles, what little details were used, is going to help aid in the creation of this. So in some ways, the people participating in the contest have it slightly easier than those people building from nothing, right? Everybody had to come up with the French style buildings on their own, do some Google research, figure out what pieces in Planet Coaster match that style, and then go ahead and build those. From there, now we've addressed what pieces are best used and what makes the best look of France, and the contest builders can literally kind of copy and steal ideas from all of the surrounding buildings. So that'll actually probably make for some interesting submissions in the future, and yeah, the winner gets immortalized right here in the center of France. So really cool stuff. And clipping this into the video because I totally forgot to do this yet again. Here's a look at our nighttime lighting for our French buildings. Nice and subtle on this one over here. Very subtle on this one over here. And a little bit brighter on this one, but also definitely good. Solid nighttime lighting. Very cohesive between the three of them. Liking what I'm seeing. Great job here, you guys. Now, quickly talking about the series as a whole, I think trying to place as many buildings as possible down in a video is the best way to go. Probably for the next one, probably get in this like whole half of Italy, and then we'll do another whole half over here, and that will be done. 2 shot, boom, boom, 2 episodes. There's a lot more buildings in this area than in France. So I think, you know, doing 4 and 4 is going to be the way to go there. I think 8 is probably too many. And going forward, I'm going to try to do as many as possible, especially for these city builds. I'm going to do at least 5. So we should be wrapping up and getting through these blueprints faster and faster and faster as they're coming in. We're trying to sprinkle in, as you guys saw from the previous episode. I highly recommend to check that out. We featured the go-karts, and then a few before that, we featured a coaster. So between all of these blueprints, I'm trying to get in some more interesting, bigger creations and really cool milestones. So I'm still having a lot of fun with this series, and I cannot wait to see what unfolds with these future developments. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, a quick look at the early developments of France. What did you think of these creators' builds? Throw your comments down below, and that's going to do it for this episode of Project PlanCo. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye now.